Hi, everyone. My name is Arlena Sabillo, and I'm part of the Davidson Institute team, and I'm your host for today. We're excited to be here with you this morning. And before we dive into this Reach information session, I wanted to go over a few housekeeping points so you have an idea of what to expect in this session. This session is intended to run for 60 minutes, and the session will include a presentation and be followed by a Q&A. We'll do our best to address as many questions as we can in the time allotted. We'd like to point out that this is in a Zoom webinar setting and is designed so staff can share their video, audio, and screen, but attendees are in view-only mode. Please note that the chat feature of Zoom has been enabled. We do ask that you please direct all of your questions to the Q&A feature. We would hate to miss any questions submitted into the chat. Please stay through to the end of the session. You will then be directed to our post-event survey to help us gather feedback on your experience. And a recording of this live webinar will be available on the Davidson Gifted website within a week. And now, diving right into this session, I'm pleased to introduce you to Kayla Latin, our Director of Summer Programs here at the Davidson Institute.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Arlene. Welcome, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so we can get started. Okay, all right. Welcome to the Reach info session. I'm so excited that you all are here to learn more about the 2024 summer. First, as people are joining, we'll just jump into a poll. Just kind of helps me see who is here today. And so our first one is simply asking if your student has attended an overnight summer camp before or like weekend kind of camp or excursion type thing, just kind of help see what kind of experience your students are potentially coming into the summer with. So Arlene has that poll released on your screen. You should see it. Go ahead and answer it, and we'll close it here in just a few minutes. Okay, looks like we're at about close to half, about 60%. Yes, your kid has been to overnight summer camp before, and 41% no. No worries. That's awesome. Good to hear we have some students with experience and some that may be coming into Reach without experience. Okay, poll number 2. The age of my student for the summer will be under 11, 11, 12, 13, or over 13. So this poll will also be released on your screen. Reach age range requirements are that students are 11 through 13 during program dates. So if they're under 11 or over 13, they're likely not going to be age eligible. However, I want to get a pulse on who's here today and if we have families with students on the younger or older side. I believe this poll got released. I'm not seeing it on my screen. There we go. Awesome. We'll just take a second and see who is here. Okay, looks like majority of students, parents have students who are about 11 or 12 with some at 13. Wonderful. And our last poll of the day just helps, guide me in our in the overview of Reach today. So just wondering what you're most interested in learning more about. We did look at those questions that you had when you registered, if you put any in there. However, I'm happy to try and expand a little bit more on certain areas based on who's here and what you're interested in learning more about. We're going to go through all of these topics. However, I'd love to hear and see what everyone has most questions about. So eligibility and readiness, application, seminar courses, schedule, student life, staff, or maybe other topics. Okay, looks like majority of families want to know more about what the schedule looks like, which is awesome. We will go through that. Also, seminar courses in student life, and then following eligibility staff application. Wonderful. Okay, we will be diving into all of that in just a moment. So first, I do want to introduce a few of the members of our team that are here today and that work year-round to prep for our summer programs, including REACH. And so I'll reintroduce myself for those of you who just joined. I'm Kayla. I'm the director of the summer programs department and just really looking forward to another great summer this year. We had a really great year last year, last few years since the pandemic. And so it's been wonderful to be back into summer camp in full swing for a couple years now, and just really looking forward to this upcoming summer. Next, we have Avery. Avery is here behind the scenes answering a lot of your Q&A questions via typing. So if you are asking some questions in the Q&A box, please keep in mind she might be answering those via text. And so your questions might be answered before we get to the live Q&A portion at the end. But Avery is here today, and so is Gabby. And Gabby is our program support specialist, and she is also helping with some Q&A support. And both of them are really looking forward to the summer as well and have just a lot of really great energy and passion for summer camps. Our contact information is here at the bottom, but I'll also have it at the end of this presentation. Okay, like I mentioned, we're going to go through all of this. This is kind of the order. We're going to talk generally about REACH, what the program is, eligibility. We'll jump into a little bit about who staffs the program, schedule and student life. Then we'll talk about courses and then some important things when it comes to health and wellness, travel, communication with parents, and then how to prep for REACH. And if you're wanting to apply, some pointers for that at the end. And we'll follow up with a Q&A, but please keep in mind some of those might be answered via text before we get there. Okay, a little bit more about REACH. REACH is our newest summer program of the three that we offer, STARS, REACH, and THINK, and it's our middle bridge program, and it's been running for a few years now. And so it is exclusive for students who are in the Davidson Young Scholars Program only. So if your student is not currently enrolled in that free program, please keep in mind that they will need to apply to the Young Scholars Program in order to be able to attend REACH. And I will talk a little bit later about how that can look if your student's not currently in for this application period. However, it is also another huge requirement is that your student is ages 11 to 13 during program dates. So if your student's 10 turning 11 during camp, they are eligible to apply, or if they're 13 turning 14 during camp, they can also still apply. It doesn't make them ineligible, but they need to be at least 11, 12, or 13 during the program dates. And the biggest portion of REACH, the biggest afternoon portion, is our seminar courses. And so students get to rank their preferences of their first choice course in their application, and they get assigned based on availability. And they focus on one area of study during REACH, unlike STARS where they bop from each topic each day. They focus on one seminar course during REACH, and it's project-based courses, so they get to work on homework and kind of build some academic project-based skills throughout the week and present those at the end of the week program. And they're all taught by Davidson Academy instructors. And so I'll introduce those courses and those instructors here in just a little bit. Just like all of our programs, they're located on the University of Nevada, Reno campus, and we stay in the dorms. It's a 1-week experience. Students check in Sunday late afternoon and stay all the way until Friday just before lunch. And our 2024 dates are Sunday, June 23rd through Friday, June 28th. So Sunday, June 23rd is the last day of the Davidson Young Scholar Summit event. And so if your planning on attending that event that is also exclusive to members of the Young Scholars Program. It's a great long weekend you can spend with your student here in Reno, enjoying that like social type conference event with your student, and then bring them to check in Sunday afternoon for Reach, and then they'll stay in Reno for the week and attend Reach. Not a requirement though. Families are welcome to send their kid to Reach without attending the summit before. Eligibility. So just a little bit more about what is required for students who are interested in this program. So we talked about membership into the Young Scholars Program, the age requirement of 11 to 13 during program dates, and then the essential functions of a Reach student listed below. And so a lot of these follow similar to what STARS is. One of just, again, the biggest difference between Reach and STARS is the academic component is a big step up, but I'll quickly go through these. So students need to be prepared to be away from and out of contact with family members for the 1 week experience. Just like at STARS, we are a fully connected community and we do not allow cell phones at Reach. So it's just like a true summer camp experience where you're unplugged from your devices and you're away from contact with your family members, but you're able to really plug into the camp community and hopefully form some great friendships and peer connections. We'll talk a little bit more about what that looks like as well. You'll be sharing a room with likely two other participants, so it's 3 students within a room. Participate in 3 to 4 hours of classroom instruction and work on project-based homework lessons each day. You'll be able to need to be able to follow instructions from staff members and instructors, study independently during those homework time and complete all assignments. That's really important that we have motivated, academically motivated students. We are here to have fun at summer camp, and we have plenty of that, which we'll talk about in the schedule. But the purpose of the academic component is a crucial part of Reach, and so we want students who are eager and motivated to work on their projects and complete their assignments. Like I mentioned, be without access to electronic devices that have even the ability disabled. They're not allowed, so you keep it really minimal. You can have like MP3 players or cameras, but no Kindle Fires or iPads or things like that at Reach. Students need to be able to ask for help if a problem or concern arises, and then operate independently under supportive care with regard to self-care. So that's including hygiene, meal selection, emotional regulation. We do check-ins and provide reminders for all of those, but students need to be able to operate those independently as well. So the benefits of Reach, why send your student out to summer camp? Mirror a lot of the benefits that summer camp in general provides, but the really big things that we love to point out is how exciting it is for students at Reach to be able to meet young scholars and like-minded peers. So often these students don't have a ton of friendships back home with similar minded peers who are identified in that profoundly gifted level with IQ or achievement testing. And so whether they're struggling or not, either way, they're going to be able to come to Reach and be in a community full of a lot of other students who are similar and like-minded as them, which is a really neat experience for these students, especially in this age range. They'll be experiencing challenging project-based academics, which is really awesome as well. Students are coming from all kind of educational backgrounds to our summer program. Some are homeschooled, some are private schooled, public school, some are accelerated, some aren't, some are challenged, some aren't. But our goal either way is to provide a challenging experience, and our Davidson Academy instructors do a wonderful job at that. They'll build independence and skills. So naturally, just being away from parents and caregivers provides a great space for students to feel confident in building new life skills and feeling a little bit more independent because they've successfully been able to kind of be away and navigate, oh, I need help, and coming to staff members and having other caregivers checking in with them. Executive functioning skill building is another piece that can be supported at Reach through that project base and homework time. They are hopefully, checked in with, and they're going to be kept on track as much as we can, but hopefully they're able to kind of build some of that independently. They'll get to experience living on a university campus, which is really exciting. We stay in the dorms, so a lot of students get to see what that looks like, what the residence hall, dining hall looks like, and what it kind of can feel like to be on a university campus overnight, and to have fun. We do lots of summer camp activities despite doing academics as well, and so it can be a really wonderful experience. I want to talk a little bit more about our staff who get to run this amazing program. So we have 24/7 supervision at all of our summer programs. It's a requirement of the university and of us to have minors supervised at all times. And so whether we're out on campus, in the residence hall, in the dining hall, in classes, there is adult supervision 24/7. Our main staff members are made up of our program assistants or PAs, and that's just our fancy word for camp counselor. And so our summer camp counselors are our biggest part of our team, and they are the ratio at Reach is about 6 to 7 students per program assistant. So they're assigned a group of 6 to 7 students that's theirs to make sure they get to and from activities. They're checking in with, their room is near those students so that they're available during dorm time, and then for evening support as needed. And they're the ones that are checking in, and they're aware of those students' needs and how they're doing at all times. We also have a lead program assistant that help fill in for program assistants as needed throughout the day, and guide them through the schedule as well. Some extra support there. We also have residential supervisors who are our kind of main oversight in the dorms for the evenings and overnight. They stay on the dorms. They don't have students assigned to them, so they're in charge of supporting our full-time year-round staff and the rest of the staff through the schedule and through concerns as they arise, coming to full-time staff as needed. We also have health supervisors, so we typically have 2 registered nurses who stay on site for STARS and REACH, and check in daily for Think. And they are there, they have their own room on the floor, and they are in charge of all of our medication administration, and are there for any student health needs. So if somebody's not feeling good or gets injured or whatever it might be, our health supervisor are on site at the program, which is wonderful. And we also, of course, hire our instructors, our Davidson Academy instructors who teach our seminar courses, and then our full-time leadership staff made of Gabby, Avery, and myself. So all of us collectively together get to welcome your students and support them through the week. I also like to point out that we are members of the American Camp Association, which helps provide guidance for all of our policies and standards. It's a wonderful association that has just a lot of research and knowledge and professional development and training for summer camps. And so they're a huge resource for us all year round and during the summer. We also attend the annual conference, which is a pretty large conference that camps send all of their staff to in the spring. And so Gabby and Avery will be attending that here in just actually a couple weeks, and they're very excited to learn the latest and greatest fun things for camp. Okay, the much anticipated schedule. So arrival day, which is Sunday, June 23rd this year, is mostly spent traveling to Reach and or finishing the summit. So if you're already in the Reno area and you're not traveling because you're here for the summit, you'll be attending whatever events are still scheduled for Sunday, which there's typically workshops and presentations and potentially keynotes on Sunday as well. So hopefully you're able to finish up those events. And if not, you're not attending the summit, you're traveling here to Reno. And then you're checking in to reach, and check-in usually starts at about 3 p.m. And I'll be talking about the new options this year at the closer to the end of our presentation. But either students can travel with an adult or they can take a shuttle. We are going to offer a shuttle limited shuttle again this year. And so I'll talk more about what that looks like here in a bit. Then the rest of the like little time that we have before dinner is spent setting up their dorm rooms, getting them comfortable and unpacked a little bit, getting to know one another. And then we kind of dive straight into dinner and have nice full bellies for our program orientation. So the rest of the evenings, we do a program orientation, we take a tour of the campus, do some fun activities. We get students set up with their laptops for courses and prep for those as needed. And then just a lot of time spent in team builders and icebreakers while we're going through program orientation, telling students the different rules and policies, getting them prepped for the week. Okay, and then the daily schedule, Monday through Thursday, looks like this. So we did shift things slightly this year to allow for some more, a little bit more downtime. We had like almost no downtime last year. And while it was a really successful and fun program, we just found that by the end of the day, students really just were craving some downtime. So the day starts with breakfast in the morning, and we do arrive a little earlier than 8 if we can and will. But there should be plenty of times for students to grab breakfast, and then we walk and head to our first field trip of the morning. And field trips consist of mostly on-campus field trips, like things like going to they vary each year. There's different museums on campus, a planetarium. We have different university departments, like the Department of Engineering will host workshops. So those are all being reserved for this year, and we'll be sharing with enrolled families what we end up scheduling for the summer, which is always so exciting. And then we do one off-campus nearby field trip as well that can consist of different things, but usually it's a fun roller skating field trip where we go to a roller skating rink and have some just like fun summer camp time. Then by 11:30, we're typically back to the dorms, and we have now a full hour for a dorm regroup, whereas we had maybe 20, 30 minutes last year, if that. And so our goal is to have a full hour now for a dorm regroup where students can get out of the morning sun, change their clothes if they need to or want to prep for seminar courses. They can just have some alone time, spend time with the new friends that they're making. We usually have some areas where they can color or draw or read books or do different craft activities if they're not wanting to necessarily socialize or just be in their rooms, spending some quiet time. And then we head to lunch. So right after lunch, we have a little bit of a half-hour buffer, but we'll head into seminar courses by 1:30, and we have about 3 hours in class. Snack is provided during field trip and during class time, and breaks are provided during that 3-hour class as well. But that's where they're going to learn, their instructor's teaching, there's hands-on things happening. It's a really exciting time. And right after that, we head into our homework time. So there's about an hour of homework, which can vary depending on the course, what that looks like, how long it is, but we spend about an hour. We'll take a quick break as we head into homework time, but then we spend about an hour of students working on their homework, and it might be reading to prep for the next class the next day. It could be researching something. It could be working on a part of their project. That can vary each day. Then we head straight into dinner, and we do have a little bit of a half an hour buffer there. So sometimes dinner might be a little longer than a half an hour, but everyone should usually has plenty of time within 30 minutes because they're all eager and excited to get to our evening activity. Evening activities consist of various things, outside and inside type of things like board game night, water games. Sometimes we have a movie night, which has board game and arts and crafts options, large group games, talent show, mock rock, all kinds of different things. Varies on depending on the year, but it's really memorable time. So this is when we're all together as a large group from camp. Sometimes we do have those separate options that they can pick from, or we're all together doing a large activity and it's super fun. Can be high energy, sometimes low energy, depending on what the activity is. But this is where they get that really big summer camp feel. Then we head into a debrief time just to kind of try and bring energy down and check in with everyone as we head into the evening routines in the dorm and get ready for bed. Then on Friday, June 28th is our departure day this year. We wake up a little bit earlier to get students to breakfast because we have a jam-packed morning before checkout. So after breakfast, they head to an hour of their final seminar class time. So typically seminar class final projects are either being turned in or presented, however instructors are navigating those. It's usually they're starting those Thursday during afternoon class and then wrapping those up here in the final hour on Friday morning. We head straight into closing activities, which typically just consist of watching the slideshow. So we take pictures and send them home to parents throughout the week. But then we also use that to create a slideshow. Students haven't seen them all week, all the pictures throughout the week because they're not on the email list, of course. And so they get to watch the slideshow and it's really fun. They get to just reflect back on the week and see all the fun things that they got to do. And we also have them sign thank you cards for our staff and for like the dining staff and dorm staff. Then we head back to the dorms. Typically, we do start some of our packing up the night before because it can take some of the students a little bit of time to get their rooms cleaned up and their things packed up. But we have a final half an hour to do that as well on Friday morning. And they do get checked in and have a list of things that they have to do to prep. And so they're guided and supported as needed. And then they say their goodbyes, and checkout is now from 10 to 11 a.m. We are cutting that down to only an hour. We found the 10 to noon checkout last year just was unnecessary, and that we can get students out and departed by 11 a.m. so they can head on their travels. Okay, jumping into student life. Here we'll talk about first the housing and the dorm setup. Which is always, we get lots of great questions about. So we're expecting to be back in Argenta Hall again this summer, which we were in Argenta Hall last summer, and it's been renovated and recently. And so it's beautiful inside. It's a really nice dormitory, not like many across the countries. It's got air conditioning. Each room has its own private bathroom. It's a really nice dorm, and it's right across the street from the Davidson Academy and a lot of the buildings that we use during summer. So we provide linen since it's a 1 week experience. We don't like making students pack those. So it does provide a fitted sheet, a loose sheet, a blanket, pillow, pillowcase, towel, and washcloth. If your student wants anything else, like their own blanket and their own extra pillow, they're welcome to pack those things. But our linen packet, that's what that's provided for students. Each room is going to have 3 roommates within the room. So there's 3 beds, 3 desks, 3 dressers, and a shared closet area. And then also within the room, there is a bathroom. And so the bathroom has like a shelving area, and across from it has a sink. And then behind a closed door is a toilet and shower area. And that's where we ask students to do their changing, is with behind the closed toilet door. And the setup has been, this dorm has been our main dorm that we've used pretty much the whole time we've been running summer programs. So it's a really great dormitory. Also on the same, so it's our own, I forgot to mention, it's our own private floor. So we take over the whole thing. We use almost every room for reach. We fill it all up. And so we also, there's a common room in the middle where we gather for activities. We gather to line up to count before we head out the door for activities. activities. There's study rooms and some like crafts and like quiet rooms. All of our camp counselors stay on the same floor near their group of students. They have their own private room, and then their students' rooms are usually surrounding theirs. Our health supervisor stays on the same floor in her own room, and our staff room where we kind of gather for staff meetings and we have all of our staff resources. We have a general staff room that is also on the floor. Dining. So we dine all of our meals on the resident dining hall, which is called the Down Under Cafe. And it has lots of options. It's a buffet style cafeteria. We're there for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And then, like I mentioned, we provide a snack during field trips and during seminar courses and usually during evening activities as well. So students are well fed, but they're welcome to bring their own snacks and keep some in their dorm rooms or on them in a backpack throughout the day if they're like particular things, or they're just one that really likes to eat a lot of small snacks and meals. They can bring extras for themselves. We just ask that they avoid snacks with nuts. If your student does have a special diet or food allergies, this is something we run into every summer. We have students who come to all of our programs with food allergies or special dietary needs, such as dairy-free, gluten-free, kosher, vegetarian, vegan, all kinds of things. And so just like during the school year, college students have the same needs. And so thankfully the dining staff are really great at working with us on our needs for the summer. We provide all of that information to the chefs and the staff in the weeks prior to camp, and they do their best to base their menu off of who's coming to camp. And then we're also there checking in and helping students navigate to make choices that are safe for their special diet or food allergy as well. If you have, questions about how that process looks, please email us. We'd love to connect with you and talk through more about what that looks like, and if your student has severe food allergies, the ways we can support them. We also go to the Wolf Shop at one point during the week, and that's like our on-campus bookstore gifts shop, which has snacks. And so often students who bring money to shop at the Wolf Shop end up at least buying one snack. It's just fun to get their own little thing. But keep that in mind, that is an option for students as well. Okay, academics. Okay, so this was also a much anticipated wanting to learn more about what this looks like at Reach. So the main components of courses at Reach is there's 3 different options every summer. And so students will rank their preference in the application, but unfortunately it's not a guarantee because it's first come, first serve. So they're going to be enrolled in one course, and you'll find out at the time of acceptance what course they got, whether that's their first choice course that they ranked number 1, their second, or their third choice course based on preference and availability. And we go true, fair, first come, first serve for that. Of course, if they're enrolled in their second choice and a spot opens up in their first choice course, we do email home asking if the student wants to move up into that first choice course. So they'll go on a wait list. So we do course wait lists, but we'll place your student initially at the time of acceptance and what is first available. They're all taught by Davidson Academy instructors. And so these instructors have year-round experience working with profoundly gifted students. And this is all a really fun program for them to teach at because they get to find a unique and fun topic that provides concepts that they might teach year round in certain classes, but do fun spins on it. And so they are all really knowledgeable in working with gifted students, and the goal is for it to be challenging and engaging. There's no credit for these courses. It's just a one week seminar course type of learning. And it's meant to be project-based and hands-on. So they're working on homework and project-based skills, which is really cool to develop before at this age range before they're heading into higher level classes. But there's no credit. However, we do have instructors fill out a brief evaluation for students that kind of just talks about great things that they saw during the class, things that their student could maybe work on, whether that's certain project-based skills or classroom skills, and then just general feedback about their projects as well. Those are sent home typically within, I think, about sometimes it can take up to a month of the program ending, but I don't believe it usually takes that long. But not right away at the end of camp. It does take a few weeks for us to gather all those from instructors and get them out to families, but we do send those home via email. And now I want to just quickly, briefly preview the courses. If you have not had a chance to look at them, they are currently posted on our website. So if you go to davidsongifted.org and into the summer programs section and into Reach, scroll down and you'll see courses, seminar courses, and you can click there and find the descriptions for all three and the link to see the instructors as well. So the first one is Upgrade Arcade, and this is a programming JavaScript course this summer that sounds super exciting. In the description, she talks a little more in detail about what students will be working on, but they're going to essentially be making a game and then presenting it in a certain way at the end, which is still being developed on how that's all going to look. If your student is super, super, super advanced in coding, please reach out to us if you're to see if this course makes sense for your student or not. She is going to, like all instructors, differentiate as needed. However, it might not be the best fit if they've been, if they've mastered all of these things, unless they still want to take a course and work on this project and present it, they're welcome to. But if they're wanting to learn something new, this might not be the best option for them. However, please reach out to us. Our second one is Exploring Fantasy, Essentials Elements of the Genre. And so this one is our reading, writing, literature type of course. She has some really wonderful ideas of how to go through all these different concepts, and students will be creating their own world and vacation spot and then presenting it to each other on why they should be why people should visit their new world or vacation place. And so she's got some really wonderful, engaging ways for students to learn through this one, and I'm excited to see the projects for this one. And then lastly, the chemistry of toys is our final third seminar course, which is going to talk about this certain chemistry behind toys, why it makes them make the sounds or do the things that they do, and the chemistry properties behind it. There'll be a little bit of experiment lab-based hands-on time, and then students will be investigating certain toys and presenting about them at the end in their final projects. The STEM topics tend to fill the fastest, and like I said, seminar placement is first come, first serve. So if your student's interested in any of these, really, these seminar courses, applying sooner than later is the best idea. We do have a really high application number so far already this year, only a few weeks into the application being open. So just keep in mind if your student's interested to get that application in ASAP. All right, and just to kind of hit these points home, they're meant to be challenging and hands-on but fun topics that they may or may not have been exposed to back at home. Our staff are consistently checking in the instructors and the teaching assistants, as well as our program assistants and full-time staff. Student communication with the instructor is encouraged, and so we want to help start building some of those skills. If they have questions during class, to ask. If they have questions about homework time, to ask prior to the instructor leaving after class. And then, of course, no news is good news. Like, we're not keeping parents in the loop on what's happening unless we need to, as far as academics go. And so the evaluations go home, and most parents don't hear from us during camp about the academics necessarily, and they'll hear from us at the end. But we do reach out if we're seeing a student struggling for whatever reason in the class environment. So some things that can be helpful at Reach is to work on some good time management skills for that project-based homework time. It is student-led, so it's because it's not for credit, and at the end of the day, the student has to put in the work, so we're not forcing anybody to do anything. So it's good for them to have good time management and organizational skills and to be motivated to work. Health and wellness. Okay, so at a little bit more about how this looks like at Reach is prior to the program, enrolled students have to fill out lots of forms, including a health history form, insurance card upload. They need a recent physical exam within the past 2 years. So if your student hasn't had one of those, getting that doctor appointment scheduled ASAP is important. We require immunization records. We do follow the Washoe County, Nevada School District immunization requirements. And so we do accept waivers for something they may be missing. However, keep in mind that we're wanting students to be up to date as they can be on immunizations, and that our health supervisor reviews all of that leading up to the program. So if there is any concern about certain outbreaks for things, we'll be in touch with any families with waivers. And then, of course, we also need all medication information prior to camp. And then our health supervisors reviewing all of this and reaching out to families as needed to prep for student arrival if she has any questions or wants to make sure she's prepared for student arrivals. During program, all students are health screened upon check-in, and that includes things, certain questions, temperature check, things like that. Want to make sure everyone's coming into our environment as healthy as can be, and that's super important, and starts at home. Keeping up on good sleep and eating habits and washing hands prior to camp to keep our camp community healthy so that everyone can stay and be healthy and not have to go home sick mid-program. We also collect all medication at check-in, with the exceptions of rescue medications like inhalers, EpiPens, things like that. But otherwise, OTCs, over-the-counter medications, vitamins, supplements, and prescription medications are all collected and kept in the nurse room, locked, and those are distributed by the health supervisor daily as needed, whether that's AM, midday, PM, whatever time those are needed, she provides that. And then she's on site daily for any needs that come up, any colds that form or stomach aches or whatever it might be, she's there, and we'll communicate with parents back home as needed for any health concerns. Okay, travel. Some of you may not have known that we posted our travel options for this year, and so I wanted to point out that those have now been released, and I'll show you where to find and read more information about them. But we have two options for Reach this year. STARS students have to be picked up and dropped off by a parent, guardian, or adult over the age of 25, and they do not have the option to do the shuttle, but at Reach we have two options. And we have the option to first travel with an adult. So participants can be signed in and out by a parent or legal guardian. And if they're wanting to travel with maybe a friend, parent, that's fine too. An alternative adult contact over the age of 25 can be named as the person responsible for checking the student in and out. Check-in for traveling with an adult is tentatively from about 3 to 4:30 p.m. on Sunday, June 23rd, and then checkout is 10 to 11 a.m. on Friday, June 28th. Now, if you would like your student to travel independently to the area, whether that's just on the way home or just on the way to camp, you can pick either option for arrival and either option for departure. But we're going to have a shuttle service available for $100 each way. So if you're only utilizing it one way, then it's only 100, but if you're utilizing it both ways, it'd be 200. The most important thing to keep in mind about this is a simple shuttle service. So we meet your student in the baggage claim area at a designated location. We put them on our shuttle with our staff, and then they get shuttled up to the university. And then same for the going home, they go on our shuttle with staff to the airport and are dropped off at the check-in area. This does not provide any sort of unaccompanied minor pickup or drop off. So if your student is required to be an unaccompanied minor by airlines, and Many don't understand what that means. That means the airline's going to require an adult in the area to go through security all the way to the gate to pick the student up. They have to go to like the check-in counter, get a unaccompanied minor pickup type of ticket, go through security, go to the gate and get the student and then bring them out. We're not providing that service. So typically at 11, a lot of airlines, even 12, are still requiring unaccompanied minors, and there's no option to purchase a ticket for your student without that. Southwest, I think, is one of the few that do allow students to travel not as an unaccompanied minor at that age. But you'll want to check your specific airline's policies first before purchasing your tickets, because we are not providing an unaccompanied minor pickup or drop off. If you have another adult in the area who's willing to do that for you, that's totally fine. You can still schedule that. However, typically that adult would then check the student in and they wouldn't need the shuttle at that point. So we're not providing that, and we do not provide any kind of airport supervision. Your student needs to be able to travel here, get their own lunch or whatever snacks they need when they arrive, because our first program meal is not until dinner, get their bags from baggage claim and be able to navigate to the designated meeting point, which will have very specific detailed out with pictures of where to go. And we will have a cell phone number in contact. So if your student's having a trouble finding our staff or not sure where to go, they can call a number. But so they need to be able to do that all by themselves. And then same with on departure day, they need to be able to, once that we drop them off at the check-in area, they need to be able to check their bags, and get their tickets on their own and head through security by themselves to their gate on their own. And it's only for students traveling independently. Parents or adults are not permitted to ride the shuttle. So shuttles will begin. We haven't navigated or reserved our specific times yet. But shuttles will begin maybe about 1:30, no earlier than that. And then they'll end right at about 3:30 so that we can get our last group of students to check in time before it ends at 4:30. And so our last shuttle would probably pick up a group of students around 3:30, meaning your student's flight would need to land prior to 3:30. And then departure day, shuttles will start taking students to the airport at 9:30 a.m. when we're done with that slideshow and closing activities. And then we'll take the last group of students no later than probably 11 a.m. So your student's flight needs to take off later than about 11:30 a.m. If it's a 9 a.m. flight, that's not going to work because our shuttle is not going to even leave the university until 9:30. Now, if you want to do an early flight and check your student out early, you can email us. Just keep in mind that they might miss their end of class in the morning. So travel questions, please email us. We are more than happy to answer all of your questions, but this is what we are providing this year. Okay, communication. What does this look like at Reach? As mentioned, it's a fully connected community, meaning we're going to be fully connected to our community and not to our devices. So we do not allow cell phones or other types of communication devices at Reach, even with the internet disabled. We don't allow it. So if students traveling on the shuttle with those devices, that's totally okay. At check-in, we just put them in a labeled Ziploc baggie, turn them off, and keep them safely stored in our staff room for the week. And then we will hand them back right before checkout as needed. So that's totally fine, but we collect all of that. So if they are traveling with a cell phone or an iPad or a laptop, which I don't recommend necessarily, but if they do want to travel with that, they are going to be handing those over to staff at check-in for the week. But please keep in mind, that doesn't mean you necessarily have zero contact with us and you're not sure what's going on the whole week. No, we send home regular program emails to parents. It's usually about the first 2 days we send one home, and then it's every other day, sometimes every day, depending on what's going on. But we send home updates on what the day entailed and what we're up to the next day, and we send home a link to view lots of photos. We post photos every day, anywhere from 50 to 300, depending on the day and what activities we have going. And so students are in them, and you can see what we are up to and enjoy those. We're also reaching out if your child needs medical care. A health supervisor will be reaching out to you as needed. If we need support, whether that comes to academic course time or behavior or student care, we want to connect with parents and partner with you on the best way to move forward with your student. And so as I mentioned, if no news is good news. We're often not talking to most of our parents. It's just a select few here and there that where we do need to call home. And that doesn't always mean it's a bad thing. But we check in. We want to check in with you and to make sure that your students going to have the most successful and best time at Reach. And then, of course, if something does happen and we have to alter protocols or different things like that due to something happening on campus, or a field trip got canceled last minute or whatever it might be, we let parents know as well. Okay, how can you prepare for REACH? So the best and first place to start is to look at our parent resources page, and Avery is going to send a link to this in the chat. But the parent resources page has both of these sections on it, getting ready and policies. Most of our information for Reach encompasses all three of our camps, STARS, Reach, and Think. And so this is our area that provides what we do for health and medical care, how we handle homesickness and tips for that, our program handbook, travel, packing lists, what supervision at our camp looks like, communicable illness and plan and policy should for immunizations and should anything occur at camp, our electronic device policies, and then more information about how we communicate home. All of that spans all three of our programs, and so it's found here in the parent resources section. Specific information for each program, like the courses or the application dates or things like that, are found in each unique program's homepage. But please check this area out. It's going to give you in detail more information about our policies and procedures. But what you can do with your student is to help them practice good homework and study habits. So those project-based skills, student-led motivational skills, kind of looking at what the end result is going to be and backing up a few days. Okay, what should I be doing each day? Instructors are going to help students kind of navigate and piecemeal that together and help them build what each day they should be working on. However, at the end of the day, practicing those ahead of time is a great skill to have coming into Reach. And kind of thinking through some of how that works. Reviewing the website and the handbook together so students are aware of what our policies look like. They're not showing up at camp completely unaware that their cell phone's going to be taken at check-in, things like that. The more parents share consistent and positive messages about camp and show confidence in your student's ability, the better off your student's going to be. If they're hearing you be weary or confused or questioning things, they're going to start feeling that. And so the more that you just talk about how you're excited for this program and you trust our staff, or you're going to check in about these things together, and you have positive messages, the more they're going to come into this program with a confidence, especially if it's their first summer camp experience. And then, of course, at this age, they could totally do all of their own packing. You could print the packing list for them and they could do it, but providing them support or at least including them in that helps them know, okay, I'm showing up to camp prepared. So is Reach going to be a good fit for your student besides the eligibility? Just the things to keep the most in mind. Is your student ready for a whole 6 days, 5 nights away from home? And if they're not, can they practice doing some of that prior to Reach? Are they going to feel more comfortable with more experience? What can you do to kind of address that concern, if it even is one? Often at this age, it's no big deal. They show up to camp and they're having a great time. We navigate homesickness at all three of our programs, even with our older teens. It's okay. It's normal. It's not a bad thing. And so just keeping that in mind and talking through that with your student. They're going to have roommates. We do not have an option for students to have private rooms. We just don't have the space for it. And so they're going to be in a room with 2 other participants, something to just keep in mind. Not everybody's always prepared for what that experience entails, but we do have a form available and connect students based on similar lifestyle abilities. So like Do they like the room cold or hot? Do they like to go to bed early or late? Are they a social butterfly or are they more quiet? So we do our best to try and pair students or triple students up together that way. They're not going to have access to their cell phones. And let me tell you, that's probably one of the biggest benefits of our summer camp, really unplugging from those devices and those social medias and those accounts and plugging into just being present in the moment with the other people at Camp Community is a really huge thing, but keeping in mind that that's something that's, if it's a huge concern for your student for whatever reason, um, it could be, a question for their goodness of fit. We have plenty of time for sleep at Reach. Like I said, we start bedtime routines about 9:30 and we're not heading to breakfast until sometime around 7:45 or 8 a.m. And they don't have to wake up very early to get ready. So there's lots of time for sleep. But just kind of depends on what your students' needs there are. They're going to have to follow direction from our staff and adults. That's a huge concern for safety. So if they're not able to do that, please reach out to us so we can talk more. And then we want them to be academically motivated and engaged for class and project completion. So successful completion of Reach includes working through the class time and submitting a final project. And so we're looking for students who are motivated and engaged and excited about these classes and the projects. Okay, our last step before some Q&A is just talking through the 2024 admission process. So the application is open, and Avery will also throw this out in the chat box to y'all, the admissions link, so you have quick access to it if you have not already applied. It is open, and I do recommend applying ASAP sooner than later because placement in the program overall and in courses is first come, first serve. And we are finding last year we did fill before the March deadline and we opened a wait list. And this year it looks like we might be doing the same because our application numbers are pretty high so far. However, at the end of the day, if that doesn't happen, the deadline is March 29th, 2024. So really the biggest things you're going to be doing is prepping materials with your student ahead of time. So if you go to that admissions page, it has a step-by-step process. The essays and the answers to the questions, we recommend just opening a Word document and having your student write those out ahead of time so that they can copy and paste in the application. There's no option to upload a document with the essays. It's a copy and paste option, but that way they're not having to write them because it's all parent-led application and so it can get funky if they're welcome to write directly in the text box, but if they're working on it in a Word doc beforehand, they're having some forethought and taking their time with those essays, which we do read every single one and review those for goodness of fit and readiness. So we want to hear what your student has to say. There's parent and student questions once you get into the application. It's all online. There's a 2-week review period. So within 2 weeks, you'll hear, sometimes sooner, but usually it can take that full 2 weeks. And then you'll hear from us via email whether your student was accepted or not. And then once you get that acceptance email, you have 2 weeks from that day that you receive that acceptance email to pay that deposit. And that's going to be really important if we do fill sooner than later because we'll have people on a wait list. And so we'll want to make sure that you're committing with the non-refundable deposit within 2 weeks before we move on to the next person. All right, that's all I have for you today. I do have some time for some Q&A, a few minutes here. Whatever I don't get to, I'll probably go a little bit over 11 a.m. Pacific time to answer some of these, but whatever I don't get to, please email us, call us. We want to answer your questions. We're excited that you're here. And so we would love to hear from you if we don't get to all of your questions. Okay, I'm opening the Q&A. Let's see. Is there a place that we can see reviews and testimonials from past participants, students, and our families? Yes. Well, so in the bottom of the Reach homepage, there's quotes from parents and students in like a little round table, like arrow over kind of thing it'll filter through those. And so other than that, we don't typically have a ton of testimonials, like videos or anything like that. But you're welcome to reach out to us if you're still wanting more. We can connect you. Often our previous camper parents are happy to share more. And so we can connect you with a parent from last summer that they can share more about their experience as well. So email us if you'd like that. Okay, what type of feedback would the students and parents receive from the instructors? That's a great question. Evaluation kind of has three main sections. Again, it's not meant to be, they're only spending 4-ish days, 4.5 days with your student. So it's not going to be anything super, super in depth, but during those 3 hours each day, they're going to be watching what your students um, classroom engagement looks like and what their project looks like. And so they're going to provide feedback on things your student did really well within the classroom environment, things that they maybe could work on, like when it comes to that could be like homework type skills, classroom type skills, just, maybe they really engaged and they had lots of great things and they didn't find really anything feedback to work on. That's not super common, but the teachers are really great at reviewing those with each student and kind of just like thinking through what would be helpful. And then lastly, the evaluation also provides feedback on the actual project that was submitted. So parents will get to read that, their student did follow the rubric or didn't, or they did they went above and beyond, or they created something that the instructor never thought that a student would ever turn in, and how cool is that, or whatever it might be. They're going to be providing some sort of feedback on that project. Okay, it's our first time getting to know about Davidson Academy summer program. What's the main difference between other summer camps, also academic based, and yours? That's a great question. So ours are specific to Davidson Young Scholars for Stars in Reach. And so the community is all the profoundly gifted level and above. So they're identified on IQ and achievement tests at 99.9 percentile and above. And they're a part of that young scholar community from all across the country nationwide. Whereas a lot of other academic camps aren't necessarily gifted based or might not be quite at that high level. Another unique part is that our instructors are Davidson Academy instructors, and so they're teachers who are working with profoundly gifted students year round, developing the seminar course content. And so they have a lot of really great experience working with PG students and 2E students as well. And it's really unique in that sense. So, and then students get to learn from Davidson Academy instructors. Often parents are interested in the school, whether it's the online or Reno campus, and it can be a way for their student to get a little bit of a taste of what an instructor and courses, these are fun topics, but what the rigor and kind of pace can feel like. It's different in the school year, but it's a little taste of that as well. Okay. Does the arcade class require prior knowledge of coding? I do not believe it does. I think she's going to be able to differentiate with students who have prior knowledge or have none at all and build them up as needed. So she might be going faster with some students than others, but it does not require prior knowledge, and we would have included that in the description if it did. So great question. Are any of the seminars full already? This is a great question. Technically, no, but the chemistry of toys one is pretty close to filling. We're getting lots of application. We have 63 spots in Reach, and we're getting lots of applications every day, and the application's only been opened for about a little over a week. And so we're filling really fast this year. So if your student's only really interested in one seminar, it's really important you get that application in ASAP today, tomorrow, this week. And if they're open to any of them, still getting it in sooner than later, because the program is filling faster than we anticipated. But technically none are full, but chemistry of toys is the closest to filling. Okay, I'm just gonna answer one or two more and then we'll jump off of here. What are the main things that students get out from the program in the end? That's a great question. So our biggest things that we find students that we hear from in the survey report at the end or when they come back, we have returning students every summer, which is awesome and a huge testament to our programs. Just that they experienced like being away at summer camp in itself is such a cool experience because you're away from parents and home, you're making friends, you get to have like mentor like camp counselor connections, but that they're with like-minded peers. So they've often feel like they kind of feel have like they found their tribe, or they found some friendships or connections with other students who are similar to them. Of course, everyone is still really unique that comes within this profoundly gifted population, but at the end of the day, to be around other students who have brains that work just as fast as theirs, or that maybe they struggle with the similar things that they struggle with, to feel like they are known and seen and they have other people like them is huge. And then the academic challenge. So a lot of students, even if they're grade accelerated, they don't have instructor mentor type of figures in their life that are willing to pull fun topics like these and challenge students in those and get them learning and creatively thinking. And so those are the biggest things, in addition to just having summer camp fun in the evenings is a highlight of the students' summer. So those are the biggest things we hear. It's a really fun program. We just had so much fun last year. A lot of our pictures that you saw here in the presentation today just don't even get hit the nail on the head with how much fun we had. If that's not answering your question, you want to talk more about it, please call or email us. We'd love to chat with you. Okay. Our last question, are Davidson Academy or online students in the seminar? And if yes, how many? Great question. So yeah, we actually have at the Reach age range 11 to 13, we do have some students who are, because the academy starts at the upper middle school, mostly all high school and above level. So at the age of 11, 13, there are a good number of students who attend our Davidson Academy brick and mortar school here in Reno full year round, or they're in the Davidson Academy online school at this age range. And so we do have a number who attend every year, and it varies. This is a little bit of a newer program, so we're still kind of navigating what that percentage looks like. But out of 63 spots, it could be anywhere from 5 to 15 students, just depending on the year, sometimes more, sometimes less. But we do have students who come and attend, and it's really special for the online students who don't get that in-person school year connections year round. They get to have this really cool in-person connection with other peers at the summer camp. So yes, those are students who attend. Okay. And lastly, I just saw one more come in. Can my child apply to the Young Scholar Program without ACT or SAT score? Yes. The Young Scholars Program has lots of different testing eligibility options, most being IQ testing, and there are other achievement tests besides SAT or ACT that they look at, and the full list is on the website, davidsongifted.org. Go to the Young Scholars Program and look into the eligibility and testing section to see a full list. Okay, I've gone over plenty now, so I'm going to go ahead and end this, and I'll send it back to Arlene, but there's going to always be updates. If you're subscribed to our newsletter, you can reach us on this contact information as needed as well.
Awesome. Thank you, Kayla, for sharing this information about REACH and addressing everyone's questions from our audience. And thank you again, everyone, for joining us. Please remember to do the survey after the session closes. And if you would like to view this session again, the recording will be posted to the Davidson Gifted website. All right. Bye, everyone. Thank you, Kayla.
Thank you. Bye.